Hi, I'm Mandy Potter, and you're cooking with Healthy Girl. Today, I am so excited to share this recipe with you. This is my go-to recipe whenever I pick the twins up from school and I know we're gonna have a busy afternoon and not have any time to be in the kitchen. I make this recipe ahead of time, put it in the refrigerator, and then when we get home, I can put it in the oven and we have a healthy, home-cooked hot dinner. And we're gonna put our meat in. And let's start breaking it up right now so it will get nice and tender and brown on all sides and absorb that olive oil. And that sizzle that you hear, you want to hear that. You want your pan to be nice and hot. Now we are going to add our vegetables, and you're going to see how much this adds color into your dish. And there is so many vegetables in here, and there's so much flavor. And they're going to absorb the flavor of the meats, and they're all going to cook together. Oops, I let a little escape. We're going to put those right back in there, and they're going to absorb together, and the colors are just going to blend, and they're going to be so flavorful. And we're just going to mix them up a little bit. Okay, and I measure out my salt because too much salt is not good for your heart. And you're just going to sprinkle it in. And then I measure out my pepper. Now, I love pepper. I think it adds so much flavor to a dish. So I put just as much pepper in my dish as I do my salt because we want to keep flavor in. If we lose flavor, none of us are going to eat it. Okay, now that we got our meat nice and brown and our vegetables somewhat tender, we are going to add some spices in. Now, we are going to add a little bit of oregano, a whole teaspoon of it actually, and just to give it a little bit of heat, you're going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And that's going to give it just a little bit of heat. Not too much, the kids will still enjoy it, but it just adds flavor. Flavor is so important. And we're just going to mix that through, get everything coated. And now we are going to turn this into our sauce, meat sauce. We are going to add 2 cans of tomato sauce. Now I like this one really thick to go with that macaroni noodles. So I have 2 cans of tomato sauce and 2 cans of tomato paste. And this is going to be a very thick, hearty, rich tasting sauce that goes really good with all of those vegetables. Let me get all this added in. And I buy the no salt added tomato paste and sauce. You do not want other people adding flavor into your dish. You want to add that flavor in, and you want to control how much sodium's in there. Now, another part of flavor is I'm adding just a touch of chicken broth. There's a lot of tomato paste in here, so just to give it a little bit more flavor, I'm going to add this chicken broth, and I buy the reduced sodium chicken broth, because again, you don't want them to add the salt in, you want to. And you're just going to mix this through, get everything nice and coated. You're going to bring this to a boil, reduce it down to simmer, and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Now, I took and boiled some noodles and got them al dente, and to add more flavor to this dish, I am going to add some reduced fat cottage cheese. This is going to make the noodles nice and creamy, and it gives them just a little bit of flavor. So you're not just getting a bland noodle, you're getting a nice, creamy, flavorful noodle. Now, once I get that all mixed, I'm going to take my meat sauce that had been simmering and add that right on top. And that's just all going to pour on top. And you're going to get such a hearty, healthy meal that is so flavorful and delicious that your kids will ask for it even on days that you're not busy. Okay, now we got that all spread on there. We are going to add the cheese. Cheese is so good in this house. We love cheese. And my little tip for cheese is I use a box grater and I use a block cheese because you get a very, very flavorful cheese with using the block of cheese. So we're just going to sprinkle this on. Now make sure when you do use a box grater with your cheese, you keep your cheese cold because otherwise they're going to clump together and it's going to be hard to separate them. So get them all over so every piece has cheese just oozing off of it. And this is going to get nice and melted in the oven. Now, if you are going to use this for later, this is where you would stop. Cover it up, put it in the refrigerator, and pull it out when you're about ready to use it. But today, I'm gonna go ahead and bake it up. I got my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and we're gonna put it in there for about 10 to 12 minutes until the cheese gets nice and brown and gooey, and it's just gonna taste great. All right, now that it's ready to come out, we got nice melted brown cheese, and this is going to be perfect. You have a hot and healthy meal even on a busy day. For this recipe and many more, log on to cookingwithhealthygirl.com, where everyday recipes are made healthy.